Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. For today's video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the all-new Buick Regal GS. In this review, I'm going to cover all of the ins and outs from performance and handling to pricing, features, and so much more. I'll also take it for a thorough drive and show you many of the unique aspects throughout the interior as well as exterior. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up and let her run. Also, if you're subscribed to the channel and want to get notified of new uploads, it's really important to make sure you have that notification bell selected. There's a lot of really exciting stuff on the way. The new Regal is such a sweet car. It improves upon its predecessor in so many different ways. For starters, it's quite a bit bigger than it was before in pretty much every dimension. Despite this, it actually weighs a couple hundred pounds or so less. You'll notice those dimensional changes within the interior with increases in passenger space both front and rear. On top of that, because you have this convenient hatch orientation out back, you also see significant increases in cargo space. I'll talk about that more towards the end of the video, but in short, this sleek sedan with the profile of a coupe actually has more cargo carrying capacity than Buick's mid-size crossover, the Envision. The name Regal Sportback stems from having the hatch out back. On top of that, there's an all-new wagon variant now available that offers even more space out back. It's called the Regal Tour X, and I hope to cover it more in depth in a separate video later on. The Regal's Euro-inspired design and handling should come as no surprise, as anyone familiar with the European car market would quickly point out that the Regal is actually a rebranded Opel Insignia. They're both built in Germany. There are some subtle differences between them, but the two cars are largely the same, which is definitely not a bad thing. Traditionally, Buick's Grand Sports have always been known for being more performance-oriented, from larger engines to better handling suspensions and more. And with the new Regal GS, that's exactly what you get. So for the purposes of this video, that's what we're going to focus on. From the outside, the car certainly looks the part. It differs from your standard Regal Sportback with more aggressive front and rear fascias and side skirts. There's unique wheels, different badging front and rear, and a deck lid spoiler. Something else that's pretty cool is that this color, Sport Red, which is a super bright color for a Buick, is actually the standard color for the Regal GS. There are some other colors available that you can choose from, but they all come at an additional cost. The standard Regal Sportback is offered in 4 trim levels, with pricing starting at $25,915 and ranging upwards of $34,795. The GS, on the other hand, starts at $39,070, but this particular example has $4,120 worth of options. Including a $925 destination charge, total MSRP for what you see here is $44,115. The Regal Sportbacks come standard with alloy wheels. Depending on the trim level, sizes range between 17 and 18 inches in diameter. The GS sets itself apart with unique 19-inch wheels that feature polished faces and dark gray painted pockets. They're wrapped in Continental all-season tires that measure 245/40 at each corner. All Regals utilize 4-wheel internally ventilated disc brakes with 4-channel ABS, brake assist, and electronic stability control. The GS in particular has a unique front setup that consists of 13.6-inch discs and red-painted Brembo 4-piston calipers. The rear discs span 12.4 inches and are clamped down by single-piston calipers. The pedal feel is nice and firm with a proper proportion of stopping power that inspires confidence when driving spiritedly. The GS offers strong braking performance for this segment. The Regal's rack and pinion steering features electric power assistance that's variable based on speed of travel and which drive mode that you have selected. Overall steering feel is very comparable to a lot of vehicles in this segment. While it doesn't emit a whole lot of road feedback, its accurate and precise behavior makes the car a real treat to drive on the country back roads. It's smooth and responsive. Underpinning the GS is a fully independent suspension consisting of McPherson struts in front and a 5-link design in the rear. At each corner you'll also find adaptive dampers, which is a pretty cool feature here. They're consistently adapting the damping force based on road surface, but you can also manually firm or soften the dampers at just the touch of a button to help reduce body roll or maintain more of a comfortable disposition for longer trips. It's important to remember that the GS was never originally intended to be a hardcore sports car. It's more in the premium end of the spectrum, but with sporting qualities. The road manners are refined, and it can still hold its own through a corner, especially with its GKN-sourced twin-clutch torque vectoring differential, which has the ability to more precisely disperse the necessary torque between each rear wheel to help the car slice through corners and help mitigate understeer. The new Regal lineup offers two distinct powertrains. The standard Sportback is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that develops 250 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque with front-wheel drive, or 295 pound-feet of torque with all-wheel drive. The GS, which now comes exclusively in all-wheel drive, is powered by an all-new 3.6-liter naturally aspirated V6, which develops 310 horsepower and 282 pound-feet of torque. The GS can accelerate to 60 miles an hour in a brisk 5.4 seconds, which is right on par with the competition. The 4-cylinder doesn't seem too far behind that, and while I haven't driven a regular Sportback yet, other publications are showing a range of like 5.6-5.7 seconds. The engine is constructed using aluminum for the block and heads. Inside you'll find dual overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and continuous variable valve timing. Fuel is delivered via direct injection, accompanied by a compression ratio of 11.5 to 1. There's also some advanced fuel-saving technologies packed into this engine, such as cylinder deactivation, which under light loads such as highway cruising allows 2 of the cylinders to be temporarily disabled. The other is auto start-stop. When you come to a complete stop, the engine will shut off momentarily until you release the brake pedal. At that point, it seamlessly reignites and you're ready to get on your way. The only downside with GM's system is that, unlike some of the competition, you can't switch it on and off, which isn't that big of a deal because it is one of the better systems out there, very unobtrusive. 4-cylinder Sportbacks are offered with 2 transmissions. Front-wheel drive models have a 9-speed automatic, while all-wheel drive models have an 8-speed automatic. The GS, which again only comes in all-wheel drive, actually has the 9-speed automatic as standard. One thing that I thought was strange was the lack of paddle shifters, especially for a more performance-oriented car. You can shift the transmission manually via the console selector, but it's just not the same. Since unfortunately there's no manual transmission offered on any of the new Regals, having the paddle shifters would add some welcomed engagement to the drive. You can tailor the car's road manners via 3 drive modes: Tour, which is the default, Sport, and the appropriately named GS mode. They alter parameters for the transmission, suspension, steering, and all-wheel drive system. So in the more aggressive settings, the all-wheel drive system shuffles more torque to the rear to help mitigate understeer, the dampers firm up to help reduce body roll, the transmission downshifts quicker and holds gears longer, and the steering firms up. The GS strikes a good balance between power and handling. After driving this thing for a week, I came back pretty impressed. Of course, I'd like to be involved in the whole driving experience a little bit more, but for what it is, the GS offers a good performance value. It sounds pretty good thanks to a sport-tuned dual exhaust system, and the 9-speed automatic, while it's no substitute for a manual, is smooth and very responsive. As far as fuel economy, the GS is rated between 19 miles per gallon in the city and 27 miles per gallon on the highway. You can expect an average of 22 miles per gallon. There's a 16.3 gallon tank, and the engine runs on regular unleaded. The interior of the GS is pretty much identical to any other Regal Sportback, but there's a bunch of unique touches dispersed throughout that better fit the car's sporty nature. You have things like unique door sill entry guards, aluminum pedals, faux carbon fiber trim, a leather-wrapped flat-bottom steering wheel, and a partial digital instrument cluster. The design of the interior is very well thought out. The ergonomics are excellent. The center stack even tilts towards the driver just a little bit. Build quality is also quite good, with a lot of soft touch material dispersed throughout, including a stitched dashboard. Out on the road, the car is pretty quiet too, partly thanks to the laminated glass used for the front side windows and windshield. The GS exclusive AGR certified front sport seats are pretty unique for this segment. They feature flared shoulder supports and fixed headrests, along with adjustable lateral support up top and down below, four-way lumbar, manual thigh support, and an active massage feature. Despite being on the firm side, they're actually quite comfortable even over longer trips. The whole design is meant to support your body in all of the right places, especially across your back to help reduce fatigue. The massage feature is also a really nice touch. The Regal's interior is fitted with 10 airbags, including dual front as well as head curtain side impact and thorax airbags for the front and rear outboard seating positions, not to mention knee airbags for the driver and front passenger. You have a standard rear vision camera as well as side blind zone alert with lane change assist and rear cross traffic alert. If you decide to opt for the Driver Confidence 2 package, you get a suite of additional features on top of that, including adaptive cruise control, a following distance indicator, forward collision alert, forward automatic braking, lane keep assist, front pedestrian braking, and a heads-up display. As far as infotainment, the GS features the latest generation Buick IntelliLink system, with an 8-inch capacitive touch display along with navigation, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. It's a simple system used with a responsive screen and some redundant controls located right underneath it. Bluetooth and voice recognition is standard, along with things like real-time weather and traffic updates. If you go for the optional Sights and Sounds package, like this example, you also get SiriusXM satellite radio, HD radio, and an 8-speaker premium Bose audio system. Also standard is a dual-zone electronic automatic climate control system, along with 3-stage heated and ventilated front seats. The majority of the climate functions can be controlled via the hard buttons in the lower center stack, but if you're going to change the different zones, you have to go through the infotainment system. Also within this screen, there's an extra set of controls for temperature and fan speed. The Regal offers a pretty decent amount of storage space up front. There's an array of cubbies and cup holders across the console, big door pockets, and a generous glove box. Also in the console is a couple power outlets, including a USB port. If you opt for the appearance package, you also get a wireless phone charging tray in the rear of the console. This partial digital instrument cluster is a GS exclusive feature. The rest of the Regals use more conventional analog gauges and a smaller 4.2-inch display for the driver's information system. This 8-inch display is reconfigurable with options for audio, telephone, and navigation. You can also change the layout of the screen. It shouldn't come as a surprise to know that the new Regal Sportback is a more practical car over its predecessor, but it's not just with trunk space, which I'll talk about next, it also has a more accommodating rear seat. Headroom increases by 0.6 inches, while shoulder room and hip room expand by 1 inch and 1.8 inches respectively. The only measurement that decreases is legroom, but it's just by 0.4 inches, you're not likely to notice a big difference. I'm 5'10", and I still had plenty of head and legroom left to spare, so even if you're around 6 feet and over, you should be able to sit back there without any hindrance. Like the front, there's good build quality with soft touch door panels, along with accent stitching and piping on the seats. You can seat 2 people comfortably back there, or 3 in a pinch. As far as amenities, you have 2 adjustable headrests, adjustable air vents, and 2 USB charging ports. The Regal GS sport seats in the front don't have seat back pockets, but you do have small door pockets and 2 cup holders with the fold down armrest, not to mention grip handles, coat hooks, and LED lighting. Perhaps the most significant thing about the Sportback's overall design is that it offers so much more storage space out back than the previous generation Regal. That car had 14.2 cubic feet worth of space, but with this convenient hatch, you have 31.5 cubic feet behind the rear seat. Fold it down and it expands to a total of 60.7 cubic feet. That's more than what you'll find in the Audi A5 Sportback and BMW 4 Series Gran Coupe. Trunk amenities include a couple of cargo hooks, an elastic band to the right, illumination to the left, a removable privacy cover, and a temporary spare tire underneath the trunk floor, along with all the necessary changing equipment. There's also latch anchors on the back of the rear seat. Now let's go ahead and see how she sounds. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the all-new Buick Regal GS. Be sure to stay tuned next time, leave a like and subscribe today if you haven't already. There's always a lot more where that came from. Take care everyone.